Good afternoon and good evening, South Sudan. This is Gender Talk 211. My name is Eva Lopa.
Good afternoon, everyone out there. Good afternoon, listeners. Good afternoon, South Sudan. This is Jackie Ben back with Gender Talk 211.
All right, Jackie. I couldn't hear myself a little bit there. Can you repeat that?
Oh, yes, I am here. This is Gender Talk 211 with you. It's Jackie Ben. We are back again. And hi, everyone out there listening to us. We are happy with a lot of energy.
Okay, she does have a lot of energy. Well, I'm really excited and really happy to be back online and on air with you all. Gender Talk 211 has been off on an off season for a little over 2 months, but we're back now. So, Jackie, how do you feel coming on?
I feel excited. I'm happy. It's like, I feel like shaking, and I know I'm presenting a lot of my friends who are waiting for me out there, so we are here.
Great. I'm really happy to, have you on officially as a co-host on Gender Talk 211. As you all know, Jackie has been my mentee for a few months since I met her last year, November? Yeah, since last year, November, and now she's officially on the show. I love her presence. I love that she brings on a little bit of young and spicy perspective to the show. So we're coming back with a lot of surprises, by the way, and one of them being the This Is Us series by Gender Talk 211. What is This Is Us? I know you've seen it online. A lot of colorful outfits, a lot of beads, loas, and a lot of cultural outfits. So the This Is Us campaign is a campaign that promotes diversity, that promotes love, and just South Sudanese roots all the way around. And today with us in the studio is the one and only Ashes64, and you all know one of my favorite designers ever, Aluel Manyang. Hi, Aluel.
Hi, Eva.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. It's good to be here.
It's your first time on the show.
Yeah, it's my first time on the show.
And how do you feel? By the way, you came through with the looks, and I love the outfit.
Thank you.
Representing, what are you wearing right
now? So I'm basically wearing a lower, but it's more modernized version of just the normal lower. I just put a little bit of twist to it. Yeah.
So to tell you more about the This Is Us series, so Aluel Manyang here of Ashes64 came on as a part of our team and put together about 14 cultural attires of different South Sudanese, let's say tribes or ethnicities. So we are presenting those attires as a voice to diversity and as a voice to embrace differences, culture, but through beauty and a lot of color. So, tell me about your experience in bringing all those 14 outfits together. I know it's been a few months in planning. To put it all together. I know it was very difficult to put together. Tell me about your experience.
Well, at first it was quite challenging and before I go into that, I must say that Gender Talk 211 just took this initiative at the right time and for the right reasons. There's not so many. It looks easy, but it's not so many people out there like that can make these cultural costumes or can tell you the story behind it. In as much as sometimes you go to celebrations and then you see these things, but it's like few people that are still holding on to that. But the rest of the people, it's a struggle, for the rest of us who want to start identifying with our cultures, so.
No, I definitely.
And I must say it was very challenging putting together the attires because there's not so many people that were able to, make them. Also, it was when you look at the time frame that we had put, it was a very short time, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna happen in this time. And so, anyway, because you were there throughout the whole process, it really took a longer time than we had planned for. yeah. But it was really exciting to be a part of this, like the run after old women, to do put together the attires, to explain to you the meaning behind it, to borrow stuff from. So it was exciting. I like the yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about the making of the project is how diverse it was. Like not just the outfits, but also the diversity within the women.
Yeah.
The what we can call them models. Yes,
Yeah,
models.
absolutely.
The models that were in the photo shoot. It was very diverse group.
Yeah.
It was very inclusive.
Yeah.
We had so many ages. We had even the 3-year-old baby Aluel.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Love her. And what also surprised me a lot is that, well, I knew that there is specific representations behind every outfit and so on, but I didn't understand the depth of it. So every color has a meaning. I remember the Latuka outfit, which I guess one of you sent me a message or whatsoever, and it's like, oh, we have 2 of them, but they're different. One is for a married woman and one for an unmarried
Yeah, that
woman.
was me. Yeah.
Said, wow, okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of meanings to this, and
Yeah.
even the colors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of meanings to that.
Yeah.
Even with the lawa,
Yes.
was very different.
Yeah.
Which I want to ask you about, because a lot of people say that we now modernize, like our generation modernizes a lot of the cultural attires,
Yeah.
without necessarily understanding the meaning of it. Do
Yeah.
you think that's a bad thing?
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's important really to understand, what you're wearing, especially when it comes to a cultural or a traditional, outfit, because someone might ask you like, what does that mean? Or, what is the story behind it? And if you can't tell that, so it doesn't, it doesn't make sense to wear something that you don't really understand. It's more like, say when someone from a different culture wears an outfit and they don't know the story behind it. They don't say it's from this place. That's like you are appropriating that culture,
Right.
So in the same sense, but I mean, even though you're from that particular culture, but you cannot explain, you're more like someone who is appropriating, that culture.
Right.
So it's important just to understand. But I don't think it's a bad thing if it's a bad thing to wear, the attire without necessarily knowing what it means. But I just think it's very important to know.
Absolutely. Before I wing off to you, Jackie, I want all of our listeners and also the audience online, I want you to think within yourself and comment in the comment box below. How do you feel about cultural attires and its modernization? I mean, many of us youth, especially if anyone knows me, knows that I love a little culture with a little twist. I do it all the time, and I guess that's considered modernizing. How do you feel about that? And also, how do you feel about the importance of learning or getting to understand the meanings behind our cultural attires? I mean, it's now 11 years since independence. I think when we came to we moved to South Sudan, we started getting to know a lot about ourselves. And sometimes it's very disappointing that we do not know much of our roots. I mean, we didn't look hard enough, or why is it disappearing? Why is it dying out? I don't know. Share your comments, share your opinions or comments in the comment box below. Okay, Jackie, tell us.
Yeah, I first want to thank Aluel so much, because the first time I decided to know of how beautiful and the uniqueness is when we had a Photoshop of different traditions. And at some point, at our age, for example, when we are with friends and we think this is something local,
Yeah.
But then there were some photos that we took, and I shared some of these pictures with my friends, and everyone is wondering, where did you get this? Okay, so they're asking, it's beautiful, it's unique, and then there are some questions that also followed. Okay, is that one for a woman or a female? I mean, a young person, or is that how you young South Sudanese girls put on? So it's like in a way also identify our uniqueness and beauty that at some point we have taken for granted, you know, and it's very attractive outside there. People like it, you know, and then people begin wondering where to get it. Okay.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I would love to wing it off to you. I know that you do a lot of designs that have a cultural twist to it, or you do actually do the cultural attire. Where did you learn, or where do you get your information from, your sources? I know you're also very versatile. You touch on many different cultures.
The question of where I get this from is so basically when I'm looking for something, I have to first ask, do you know somebody who understands this, who does this? Basically, it's a research. You know, when you want to do something, always you have to research it, and this is what I always do.
Right.
And my first work was the Dinka corset, and it was for my friend's wedding. So she said she wanted something traditional. That's what she wanted for her, you know, for her wedding. And so I sat at the time. I had just started designing actually, I just started putting work together. I started designing, say, 2018, but I did not act on it really until I started getting encouragement from people who thought I had some content, you know. So I had just started then, you know, putting things together. And so my friend's like, oh, I want you to do for design clothes for my wedding. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, I mean, you're good. I'm like, are you sure this is your wedding? You know? And so I was like, okay, I mean, all right, it's a challenge. I would take it. What are we looking at? What do you want? And so she's like, you know, something traditional. And I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking, okay, I was just going to run to the internet very quickly and copy some design over there and just, you know, get my guy. I'm like, hey, listen, can you reproduce this?
Right.
But then she hit me with something traditional. I was like, okay, let me see. I see. Yeah, I was like, I see. So anyway, so I took it as a challenge. And that's the first step, and that's what helped me really. I was like, okay, so my friend has entrusted me. I've just started. She's never seen any work that I've done before. This is a wedding. So when you say traditional, I decided to just look at her tradition, which is the same as mine, the Dinka. And I looked at our attires. I started calling people. I started calling my auntie, my dad's sister, and I was like, what is can you tell me about our traditional wear, as the Dinka people, as the Dinka Bor, to be particular? And she's like, oh yeah. So she told me, the things that they used to wear, there's the corset, the beads, and then there's this beads called bor. And I looked at bor, and I just didn't think they were very. It's difficult to find bor right now. It's like a line of bead that is put from from a very short one, and they keep on increasing all the way to your waist. And these are beads that are worn by someone who is intending to marry. For the men, if you're intending to marry, that's when you wear them.
Is that what it means?
Bor. That's some beads when you are intending to marry.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
those specific beads.
Those specific beads, not those ones. No, not
Okay.
a different one. Bor, yeah. So she told me about bor, and I thought it would not work for us in this case, because bor are just like a string of beads that are arranged as they increased.
Yeah.
And that worn by a woman who's just gotten married. Once a man marries the wife, and then now he takes some of them off his neck and put on the woman's neck. So, and then she told me now about the corset. So I'm like, So I looked at the corset. I had seen it before, and I'm like, this is the one that will do. But now, a long time ago, it was only worn like just without anything on the inside. The beads are strings, and when a woman wears it, like you see, like the nipple, the breast just poke through,
Right.
which is something that we cannot do right now. And so now I had to think, how do we wear this in this modern day? Like, that's when I thought, okay, maybe we can put something underneath it, something small, something that matches with the color of the, of the tone of the person.
Yeah.
And then the skirts, my old girl, that's something they used to wear back in the days. Also, they were worn on a very low waist. But then I'm like, we can't do this right now. We can't wear them like to a point where people see our groin. It would be a problem,
Right.
So then now I had to modernize the skirt. I had to make a choice of a fabric, and I also had to do the same for the beads. And so when we put it together, really, it just came out very well. I did not create any of that. It's something that already existed. All that I did was replicate that.
Right.
And now also just change, say, the levels on which it was worn, like I made it shorter. Of expression, exactly. And it works perfectly. It's the same thing for men, and I thought, okay, so when you look at the Dinka people, but also the Nilotics, the one thing in common is the Lawa.
That's very true.
The Shuluks, the Nuer, the Dinka, the Baris, although they're not the Nilotics, like it's, there's one very common attire that South Sudanese wear is the Lawa. And I thought, okay, this will work for men. So I decided now chose color. And so on the Lawa for the men, there was some embroidery that was put in it. There are V's that are like arranged on the edge, on the top edge of the Lawa. So those embroidery, they just look like some things that we just put there, but really they are the tribal marks, like the Dinka board tribal marks, the official tribal marks. So I just did it in form of the embroidery on that. So I did it. It worked so well, and so many people from then
reached out to you.
Were inspired. Like, this is, it was actually, I must tell you this, it was opposed by so many people when we started that project. When we say that it was going to be traditional, we were doing beads, people are like, what is because it was never done.
Right.
It was never done. That was like the first time.
And I guess society and community are usually afraid of
something never been done. So everyone was like, what is that? And then we had to get like a backup outfits. You were there, so
right.
Although this is something that not so many people knew, like the resistance by family members for us to do the beads, until the day we arrive at the venue, and everybody like, oh,
this looks
what
good.
Do we have here? Like, this looks really good. This is great. This is our culture. This is everything. And it, and the entry song was a local song, and everybody was on their toes, and everybody was impressed. And like, now from there, so many people, so many young girls, so many women were inspired, and they wanted to do their wedding just like that. And we've also seen a few that have recently, a lady got married and she just did exactly the same thing.
Right,
she
absolutely.
Did the corset.
I'm seeing more and more people,
and more people now,
beads and just cultural.
more and more people now are getting into the cultural attires. But now South Sudanese cultural attires, as opposed to the foreign attires that we're doing. People were doing Indian, people were doing Nigerian, people were doing Rwandan, but now people are doing South Sudanese.
Do you think people did not know that we have that?
Well, I don't think they didn't know we have that. They knew, but they just had never seen it being done. All right. So someone always had to start something, and Aluel did that, and it just it has inspired so many people. And then for the other attires from the different cultures, I always reached out. I would just reach out to my friends from particular ethnicities and ask them, like, hey, listen, so I'm looking for this. I need this attire. What do you people wear?
Right.
And and do you know what it means? And if they didn't know, I would ask for recommendations for someone that understands, someone that will give me what I'm looking for. And that's how I actually collected some of their cultural attires, collected them, got them to explain, some of which have not been explained yet, because some of the people I got this from say they do not know really. They're just like, oh, it's just our culture, like, but we don't know what what some of these mean. Yeah.
Okay, so for this round of curation, Gender Talk 211 will feature 14 photographs of various traditional attires in celebration of our 11th independence. By the way, happy belated Independence Day. It was last week. I don't know what everyone did, but let me finish this up and then you can let me know. So this is to remind us that there is beauty and strength in diversity. We will also host 2 radio discussions. This is one of them, and the next one is going to include our sources. Like Aluel mentioned earlier, we need the knowledge. We need to know what it means. What is the representation behind it? So we have many sources that have spoken to us and helped us make this project become whole, or this series become whole. So we will be having them on many radio, I guess, shows. I think 1 or 2 is not enough. It's not enough conversation,
so much.
right? So I think we will keep on having these conversations on our cultural attire and what it means to us. So I want to swing off to Jackie and just ask, what was your experience? Jackie was a part of the photo. They cut me out, but she was a part. Aluel was also a part of it. But yeah, I've been cut off, but it's okay. So I just want to know, Jackie, how was it for you? I mean, you're the younger generation over there, and you had many groups of women that were a part of this project as well. So what was your experience?
Yeah, at the first place, I was very excited because from the perspective of being a South Sudanese and a student and a young person, I was inspired because it's like it's sense of awareness, getting to know yourself as who you are, and that's identity. So it's more of decolonizing ourselves because like we young people are attracted to other cultures. We copied it. I will talk of it. We copied the Nigerian styles, even in our birthdays and all these different designs. But then I was very happy because I feel now as a young person, we own being South Sudanese because we have all the self-actualization perspective and we are proud of it. It's self-esteem because it's what identifies you. Okay, so that also made me a global figure, and it's become outstanding because I have what to present as a South Sudanese young person. So it was very important as a source of knowledge.
I agree. I mean, I love wearing cultural attire, and rarely do I know what the meanings behind it are. So this specific series or project was a learning experience for me as well. I know you were wearing the Acholi attire, and that the Acholi culture is so rich and has so many meanings behind it, and also many different attires behind them, and it's just been a learning experience for me, and that is what we want it to be for you as well, the audience. So let us know how you feel about cultural attire in general, and also its modernization, and what would you like to know, which culture would you like to learn about the most, or I guess which cultural attire are you interested in the most, or would you like to know about the most? Put it down in the comments. We are just here to learn and share and learn from you as well. So if you want to tell us about your own cultural attire, why don't you drop a picture and some knowledge in the comment box. So I'm so interested in intergenerational conversations, and this created intergenerational conversations for me as well. So just upon doing research on the different attires and different meanings behind it, you have to now speak to the elder generation, the vintage generation. I like vintage more than elder. The vintage
thing that just means the same thing. It just means old.
I know, but I think vintage is a little more tasteful. I'll say that. So the vintage generation. So now you have conversations of what it was like back then, how it came about, how even our parents, grandparents got introduced to the attire, what it meant in their time. And then you also now start seeing the conflicting meanings, the direct because now in our time, it's more of a fashion statement.
Exactly.
You know, I like wearing the Dinka corset. I think I have different versions of it. So many, I have worn them so many times, and the lutuka as well. And it's really just it looks good, of course, but then I also feel like I relate more, even though I don't know the meanings behind them.
Yeah.
I just felt like I related a lot more.
Yeah.
And coming from Sudan, which was, you know, a whole life that I did not know much about my own culture, my own roots, so whatsoever. It feels good to be able to relate to something or go somewhere and be like, yeah, this is South Sudanese.
Yes.
It's all South Sudanese. It's made by South Sudanese people. So there's that aspect of just creating intergenerational conversations where we feel like we can relate with the vintage generation as well, and they also feel like they can relate to us, right? And then now identifying, like you were saying, it creates an identity for you, because I think we're people that now come together from so many different places. You have from diaspora, you have the Sudan, you've got East Africa, you've got Cairo, Australia, so many places, and now we come here and we're trying to find ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. So things like this are so important to me, and just represent an identity for me. Like even to just go to other countries and conversation. Like, no, we wear this for this culture, and we do. Yeah, like it's just for conversation. It feels great. It's what is it like for you being the younger generation?
Okay, for me, in the first thing, it's more of pride, and also it's a resource. Okay, because
I like that resource.
Yeah, it's a resource, because when you're in the public, you really have to present something that identify you and represent you. And I also love it because the other time I wore and I took the picture home, and then my grandma was asking, were you for a wedding? I said, no, we were not for a wedding. We were. And then she asked again, were you for a traditional dance? And then I asked, why all this? And I just get to know that all the South Sudanese traditional attires have meanings. There is the one for, like ceremonies to do with funeral rites, kind of happiness. Yeah. And when you put it, they know, okay, you were in a happy mood, and it was like something which is very lively. Or like, for example, even the Tupursas, I live with some of the Tupursas, like the ladies, they don't wear like the old women wear. They skin like in front, it's made with beads and it's longer. And then the ladies, the young person like me, I can put something which is not, it's a bit short, and then they know this is married person and that's not a married person. Yeah. And there are beads that can show that you're single and you're married. So you don't need to move around and tell people I'm single, I'm married. No, how you move around, you dress
what
yourself.
You're wearing or where you speak for you.
That's the uniqueness I just got as a young person. So even if I go back to the village, I don't need to tell people I'm single or not. I just put it, they know I am single or not.
Yeah. Also, I guess some of them represent also age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's age, marital status. Also, I guess background, or specifically where you come from or which area.
Yeah.
It's amazing that our people thought of this, like thought so deeply into this. I think nowadays we just wear clothes. We don't really. There's nothing behind it, but it's so amazing that they put thought into it. So for you as a designer, I think right now you're the only designer in South Sudan that does a lot of cultural attires, a mix, and also modernizing. You're doing a lot of weddings, just designs that mean representation, right? And it so happens that your design house is called 64 Ashes, which I know is related very much to the South Sudan 64 tribes. So why don't you now tell us a little bit more about 64 Ashes and what all of this means to you, to be able to become a representation or a symbol yourself?
Yeah, so Ashes64, basically, like you said, the 64 stands for the supposed 64 tribes.
Right.
You know,
There
there are
might
some
be
people.
more. We don't
There
really
might be
know.
more. There might be more or less. You know, there are some people who say like they're more or less. You know, so but so far, what we know officially is 64.
Right.
So the 64 stands for the ethnicities that we have in the country. Ashes basically. So when I was uh, uh, in the process of registering the company after I decided that this is something that I wanted to do. Obviously, just like anybody who do, you sit down and you research and you know to come up with a name.
Right.
First, I started off the internet. I stroll. I looked for names, find name, and you know what they mean or how they were, you know, and nothing that really I felt, nothing I could relate to at all. So I just decided to just sit down one day and I'm like, okay, what can I relate to? You know, I had to start as a Dinka woman. What do I relate to? What can I identify, you know, with? And I thought, Then I looked now at my tradition, my culture,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then I'm like, arop, arop. So arop is ashes, but it's a specific one. It's the burn cow dung.
Ah.
Yeah. So this is something, Arob, if you've been to a cattle camp or if you've heard, it's very essential in the cattle camp, you know, and it's something that the nomads cannot separate with, because in order for you to keep bugs away from your animals, you have to burn the cow dung. So the smoke, you know, sort of like repels bugs. Okay. And so I looked at it also like a rock is something, it's a multi-purpose. It's a multi-purpose thing. You use it for body decorations. When you see the nomads, the herdsmen, when you see the body all looking white, or you know, it's also the legs of the ladies are white, but with some patterns, some forms of art. It's the arrow that is, you know, put smeared on their legs, and then they just, you know, design it like it's a form of art. It's a decoration on their legs and stuff and their bodies. And so used as a powder, you know, for the young kids, you know, the small babies, you know, they, you know, any flies, you know, it keeps away flies, you know. So you find a little babies just there and it's just being happy. Because in the cattle camp there's so many flies. In the cattle camps there's so many flies. So to keep away that, like, you just apply that on your body, you know, on the kids and stuff, and then it keeps away the flies. And also it's used to clean the teeth.
Right. That one,
you know. Yeah, you just pick it and you clean your teeth. And you know, we also know it's used to dye your hair in combination with urine. Yeah, it's, you know, so it's a multi-purpose thing. It's something where once it's is burnt, like it's almost wasteless almost. Okay. So, and for me, I am in the process of building a company that I want to be environmental friendly. At the moment, it's not, because I don't have the capacity yet. But the drive in the future is to make sure that what we produce is environmental friendly. And that means making sure you maximize on the product, during the process of the product making. Everything that we do has to be friendly. Either we recycle it or it's degradable environmentally. And so I look at it and I'm like, this sort of like represent it, you know, I can relate this to what I want to do. So, and then I also thought, okay, so now I have my name, Ashes, but it just wasn't complete. I didn't feel it was complete. So I continued to research, and then I realized, right, I mean, it's not the herdsmen that burn particular things for particular purposes. We know that there are different tribes in South Sudan that will burn one or two things for, you know, we have the banana peels that we burn to make combo. You know, there's this other plant also. It's when you burn it like in the evening, it acts like a mosquito repellent.
Yeah.
It's not by the husband. It's somewhere in the equatorial here. So I thought, I haven't done the research to know the kind of things or all the tribes that burn something, but I just thought, right, whatever tribe has something that, every tribe has something that they burn
Yeah.
for a purpose.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, right, it's ashes 64, meaning it's ashes of the 64 tribes that I decided to to relate to, so that my brand is for everybody. My brand, everybody can relate to. So that's how the name Ashes 64
64 came about. I
came
really
about.
love that. Don't you like that?
Yeah.
And I think she has a point to say it's a 64 ashes because, for example, they burn the purple purposely for combo and taking care of, like goats. When it's raining, it's become very cold for the goats
Right.
that they keep around.
Right.
So the goat also know when you burn, you burn it even. Some you can collect some firewood, but at the center you get the purple here you burn.
Yeah.
So the goats themselves gets there and they surround it. They don't get into the fire.
Yeah.
So they go around it and they sleep there.
Yeah.
So I think it has a meaning.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
like that. I've always loved the name, Ashes 64. But yeah, I mean, I wish you all the best. I think you're doing absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
When we decided to do this learning project, and it had a visual aspect to it and also a cultural, well, it is a cultural series in general.
Absolutely.
There was no one that was going to come to mind other than you, because I don't know anyone that is doing this really wholeheartedly and so passionately. So I'm so glad you joined us on this project, and I can't wait. Everyone already knows that you're my girl, and cultural or not, I'm coming to you anyway.
I know.
So I'm really just so proud of you, and so proud
Thank
that
you.
we've done something together, and I can't wait for everyone
Thank you.
to see the product.
Oh, I must say
come up
that. So currently, I'm actually working on a series of modernizing. Like I said, so many inspirations for me are from our cultural attires. That
Right.
was the initial plan, but also I thought, why can't I be diverse? Why can't I make for someone who wants, like, chic and sophisticated designs? Why can I make for
Right.
someone who wants a suit? This is like an everyday, and also for the company to have some cash flow. That's something they also will needed to do as well. But currently, I'm really excited about it. I'm working on a series where I am I'm modernizing cultural attires, and so far the concept of the Lotuko, the concept like the Dinka corset, and the Lawa already is out, so I'm actually wearing it here.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah. So and many more. So I'm working on those, and I'm really excited about it. The challenge is, like the traditional part of it, the beading part of it. Yeah, but we are actually able to find women to do this thing, so it's really exciting.
Really, really awesome. I'm really excited.
It's gonna take long.
Entire series.
It's gonna take long, but I feel like it will be worth it once it's out.
Girl, it can't take long.
Yeah.
I'll come for a special version that comes out
we
early.
can talk. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can work something out.
Thank you so much. Before we roll out, Jackie, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to appreciate, when I look at Aluel, she's more South Sudanese. It's not longer like a specific ethnic group, but she's more South Sudanese.
I agree.
Yes, because she can also tell, like the other day we were together and there were so many attires. She was telling me, no, Jackie, this is the actually one. Then I was wondering, I look at it twice and then I asked,
how do you know this?
Yes. Okay. So it's really something that we can stand out for it, because it also help in the sector of knowledge searching.
Absolutely.
And in academia, okay, you cannot you cannot, assume things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really represent, and also it's an element of knowledge production, because it's like it's wearing out.
Yeah.
Okay. So this worked even for those who are learning, like even the coming generation, they will get to know.
Yeah.
But then I also agree with your sense of creativity, and I would like to really thank you for that, because
Thank you.
Like those days, it's very like exposing, like some traditional dance attires can really expose some parts of your bodies.
Yeah.
And those days it was something which is not.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
And then
it's not
people
very
weren't.
sensitive,
Yeah.
And people were. But then the dynamics also, like on daily learning and
evolution.
Yeah, evolution
of culture.
So it's also requires some sense of creativity, where you really need to avoid some, because cultures, not every culture is good. Not only in Africa or South Sudan, there's some cultures that we cannot really repeat doing it, but it still represent it as a South Sudanese culture, because in the first place we're using the beats. Of course, even our grandmothers have been using them.
Yeah.
So coming up with this design, like designing it on the creativity aspect of it, it's in relation with what they have been doing, because they were doing it using their own knowledge at their own time.
Yeah.
So I think we are not an exceptional, and I would really love to thank Kiro for that. I know you have the energy, because she does it with a lot of passion. And so we are proud of you.
Only with passion that it can be done. I mean, it's really challenging. And to that, I'd like to say that honestly, I could never be prouder of Gender Talk 211, because from a point of experience, culture is sort of like eroding out. Attires are one of them, and this I can attest to, because I worked on this, and it was very difficult to find attires, and it also was difficult to find someone to make it. So the knowledge is actually dying out.
Yeah.
But when you bring this up, so we are reminded, and we get to go back, and bring back to life some of the things that we've lost, or we are at the verge of, being lost. So I'm really proud. This is something very important, and this is why I support Gender Talk 211 always, because
Thank you so much. That being said, this is a series has already rolled out on our Facebook and Twitter pages. That is Gender Talk 211. So you can go ahead and click like, or is it follow, and stay tuned for more to come, more knowledge, more color, more people, more women, more beauty, more culture. All culture is going to be rolling out on our pages for the entire month, and maybe even a little bit more. As for now, let's take a little cultural break until another week and another episode of Gender Talk 211. My name is Eva Lopa, and with me
I'm
is
Jackie Ben.
And I would like to wish you a great evening. Drive safe and get home very safely. I'll see you next time.